You see more disease than you usually experience at that particular time of year for that community. Does that make sense? So what usually you find in winter is the cases of seasonal flu increase beyond expected. So we call that an epidemic. Yeah? When you have epidemics in more than one country, it's a pandemic.
OK, so as Ben said, I mean, the word itself sounds terribly frightening,
Does.
but I suppose when you break it down, talking solely about swine flu, has the media been a help or a hindrance in that respect? Has it caused a bit of a panic, or is it warranted?
The virus probably appeared in America in mid-April, although it had been around probably in Mexico for several months before that. It then started to spread fairly widely in the US. At that stage, we didn't know much about the disease, but what it transpires is for most people, this is a very mild disease, and most people get better without any treatment whatsoever. We first saw it in Stockport, where I work, probably about beginning of May, something like that. But we didn't see the huge numbers that you saw perhaps in London, in Birmingham. We saw relatively few cases in June, July and August. The only way you can diagnose it, you can't distinguish this from seasonal flu. The only way you can diagnose it is to put a swab and look for the virus. Okay. We swabbed 450 people, 20 were positive. Right. Having said that, now we're seeing a lot more.
So 20 out of 450 in Stockport?
We're positive that we swabbed. We weren't swabbing systematically, we were just doing people who in whom it would help treatment or in management.
And since it first emerged, we've now got the vaccination programme.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of uncertainty and perhaps confusion about that, of who the vaccine's safe for. As far as you're concerned, can you clear up any of that confusion for us?
Yeah, the vaccine is very much like seasonal flu. It's made in exactly the same way. You grow it in eggs, you take off the virus, inactivate it, put some solvents on to break it up, and you just use the outer shell of it, just the little bits in the outer cells. So it's a dead vaccine. Who do we give it to? Well, we got ours in Stockport about Wednesday. It came on Wednesday morning. And we're giving it to two groups of people. Children 6 months and above, up to 64 years of age, if you're in an at-risk group. And your at-risk groups are chronic lung disease, like asthma, bronchitis, things like that.
That's those underlying health conditions that we often hear mentioned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chronic heart disease, diabetics, immunosuppressed, people with liver disease and people with kidney disease. They're the first group of people that get it. At the same time, health workers like myself, who've got patient contact, we're getting the vaccine, and so several of my colleagues and myself had ours last week.
OK. I suppose the practical advice, without going too into it, would to be follow all of the procedures that we know about washing your hands and staying off work if you do suspect yourself. But just quick, because we are running out of time, I know that you're going to be giving a talk this evening that people can go along to. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's part of the Science Week at the Museum of Science and Industry. It's a 5-day session. I think they have talks each night, and we're doing the first one on influenza and other pandemics.
OK, so anybody who does have any questions can pop down this evening.
Yeah, can pop down.
Fabulous. David, thank you very much for coming in.